Hello everyone. Uh, Here I'm going to teach you about Indian society and social system under the aegis of Sri Ram IS. This is an endeavor to make you aware about the small nitty-gritty of Indian society and social systems and how they are interrelated to other realities of people in India. I'm Dr. Shelly Pandey, and I'm gonna teach you about these different topics on the Indian society. Now, before starting this whole journey on Indian society and social system, I would like to tell you that it is very important for us to understand this whole issue of Indian society from an examination perspective. Why? Because the examiner, the you know the like it, the whole question paper setter system is not going to ask you any direct question on the issues of Indian society. They are always and most of the time asked in connection with other contemporary realities. For example, poverty is a very strong reality of Indian society in the past and in the contemporary times also. But you will hardly get any direct question on the issue of poverty. That what do you mean by you know poverty or Indian society or poverty as an essential part of the Indian society? No, they are going to ask you questions such as how um, globalization had an impact on the issue of poverty in India. So here, the examiner has combined two important topics: globalization and poverty. If you have the knowledge of why and where of poverty in India, then you will be able to combine the knowledge of globalization with that why and where of poverty in India. For example, why India in some part of the India, poverty is there or relatively more there, and in some part of India, it is lesser. And what are those parts? So, if you know all those realities in a relative sense in different parts of India, you will be able to join one topic with the another topic. Another example which I can give you that how poverty alleviation programs in India are related to the distress, to handle the distress of farmers' society, right? Or how poverty in India or poverty alleviation programs in India are related to women empowerment in the Indian society. So again, here you need to have a knowledge of the issue of pharmacide in India, why it is there, and how it is being tackled by the Indian government, and how they are very much aligned with the poverty alleviation program. And same goes for the women empowerment, that how women have become the focus of development, especially rural development in India, and how poverty alleviation programs are aligned with them. So let's start with our understanding on poverty, and I will share my screen to start it. So let's um, first of all, let's deal with what is poverty. And in layperson's understanding, we very well, and and you have to provide information in a very comprehensive manner to the examiner. What do we mean by poverty? Poverty is about uh, poor people are those individuals who are unable to fulfill basic necessities of life. You can write that, but you have to qualify that further. What are the basic necessities? So, food, health, economic opportunities that to work and earn money, and debt. And when you say debt, here is one of the reason of poverty in India, that get exactly or directly correlated with the issue of farmer suicide and the credit and the trap of credit in the rural India. So that's how, nitty-gritty of each topic is related with some other topic also. Bigger family. And because a bigger family means lesser resources for per person, and that's how people remain poor. And lack of facilities, basic facilities like water and electricity. Now, why it seems very simple to come up with these issues that if people are not having these facilities in their life, they are poor. We all understand that. But from the examination point of view, how are we supposed to understand that? That is important. If we know these issues in an elaborate manner, then you will be able to relate these issues with different programs of or different initiatives by the government of India. And then you will be able to answer many questions because all those programs for the rural development, for the poverty elevation, for women empowerment, they are interrelated, as I said in the beginning. So you have to, when you are starting this whole journey of understanding Indian society, you have to start it with the mindset that I have to learn every topic to and I have to um, learn it in such a manner that how am I going to relate it with some other topic which is relevant for the Indian society and to understanding of the Indian social system. Now, poor people in India are divided into two categories. One are urban poor, and the say other another category is a rural poor. And urban poor that you see around you in the urban spaces, cart vendors, street cobblers, rack picker, beggar, all those who do not have all these facilities that are mentioned on the screen are urban poor. Rural poor are of different nature. Why? Because in rural economy, agriculture is very important. So the poor people would be agricultural laborers, landless and laborers and tenant cultivators, those who cultivate other people's land and how they are exploited because of that tenant and landowner relations, and that exploitation keeps them poor. That's how you have to imagine and write and understand the poverty in the rural area. Another important fact to understand poverty in India is the concept of poverty line. Now, what is poverty line? It is a minimum threshold level. You know, everybody, or not everybody, but people who are earning in India, or earning to earn for their families and for their children and for themselves. How will you understand that which income is sufficient for you to survive on a daily basis? So, minimum threshold level of per income and per capita expenditure uh, has been, has been uh, has been decided or calculated, and that if those people who cannot afford that per capita expenditure or cannot earn that minimum threshold level of income, they come under the poverty line. Now, what are those parameters? So, monthly per capita consumption and expenditure of rupees 972 in rural areas and rupees 1407 in urban areas is recommended as a poverty line at the all India level. Now you see, expenditure is lesser in rural area and it's more in urban area. And as far as income, and another uh, parameter to see to measure poverty line is your per capita calorie intake. What kind of nutritious food you can have on daily basis. So people who are not getting 2400 calories per person per day in rural areas and 2100 calories in urban areas are considered to be living below poverty line. I mean, of course, people in rural areas are supposed to do more manual labor, so the calorie intake expected for them or desire or needed for them is more than people staying in urban areas. So, and that is how on two parameters poverty line is calculated. One is your per capita income or expenditure, and another is per capita calorie intake. So that's how the poverty line, and people who are below poverty line are considered poor, and people who are above poverty line are considered non-poor. Another important issue related to poverty and poverty line is the agricultural distress. Why? Because poor policy and poor planning. In the past, the focus of the agriculture, because all of you know that agriculture contribute the vast majority of our GDP, and also Indian economy is still surviving on the agriculture production. So what happened in the past policies and planning? The focus was our focus remained for a very long time was on increasing the agricultural output. So you can imagine, when we got independent, we were supposed to feed a huge population and to make our agricultural output self-sufficient for our own population. The government started focusing on the production of the agricultural output. And also, and then the whole idea was to improve the food security. One thing got missed here, that it did not recognize the need to raise farmers' income and welfare. Now, how that is, that can be ensured. See, when you focus only on the output, it's like you produce this much and then you get this much of money for your production, and it was a very commercial imagination of relation with farmers. But one point got missed, that farmers were the backbone of the Indian economy for a very long time, and their welfare was also very important. When their welfare did not get the focus, the country came towards the agricultural distress. Another factors that contributed to agricultural distress would be that, despite the fact that agriculture remains a very important part of Indian economy, there remained a lot of tension, that the production and the farmers' welfare was not production got the focus, but the farmer welfare did not get the focus. And because of that, farmer kept on getting poorer and poorer. Poor farmers further getting poorer and poorer, because the agriculture was still dependent on rainfall and climate. You can also observe that global warming is still contributing to the unpredictability of the climate around us, and specifically the rain, the timing of rain, that keeps on contributing to the agricultural problems, and in the rural parts of India. Another problem related to agriculture distress is that to make agricultural output grow, farmers were supposed to take credit, and those credit system were of two levels: formal credits and informal credits. And formal credits needed a lot of collateral, a lot of paperwork, a lot of knowledge was needed to develop to go for a formal system of credits. So because of that, the farmers remained dependent on money lenders, the informal money lenders, which were the local money lenders of that area. And that kept them into a debt trap, and kept the issue of poverty going on and on in the Indian rural society. Because the growth could not happen to a large extent, there was also a lack of mechanization, because mechanization needed money, and again, money and credit the main problem with especially the small farmers. Here we are talking about small farmers because we are talking about poverty. Because poverty elevation could have been done if agricultural production would have become better for the small farmers, but they could not get it because they could not access credit. They were still dependent on rainfall, and and small farmers' welfare was not the focus for the government policies for a long time. And another question related to the poverty and agriculture distress that you can expect expect in your exam is that the the farmers issue in India, or the issue of agriculture distress in India, or the issue of poverty in the rural area is more related to the marketing of the agricultural goods and lesser to the production of the agricultural goods. Now, what happens? Very much uh, after that, the major problem faced by the farmers are that how are they going to sell their production? How this production is going to go in the market? What kind of price is going they are going to get in the market? Now, elaborately, I will discuss it in some class which is going to be about agriculture marketing reforms. But to take it, because there are so many farmers, and there are limited buyers, so it led to a lot of manipulation, a lot of you know manipulation by the buyer side, and buyers were largely the money lender because they had the money, so they compelled them to sell their production to the desired price which the money lender would be desiring, and the profit could not reach to the farmers. So to take care of this issue, agriculture produce market committees were established, and under this committee, the market system for the agriculture production was systematized. But there were a lot of problems within that as well: manipulation and control of prices, and not giving the fair prices to the farmer. These problems continued because of the monopoly of the buyers. Even these committees appointed some buyers, though those buyers were also the strong people of that local area, and that's how the farmer could not gain the benefit of that regularization of the agriculture produce markets. So that's how the poverty and agriculture distress, you have to imagine it together. Um, Another issue related to poverty elevation in the rural area, another initiative, was the National Commission on Farmers, which was constituted in November 18, 2004, under the chairmanship of Professor M.S. Swaminathan. The focus of this particular commission was on suggestion for inclusive growth of farmers and agriculture sector in India. How it was not inclusive earlier? It was not inclusive earlier because earlier the focus was on the production. These are the technology, these are the latest fertilizer, pest control, and seeds. You buy it, place it on your fields, grow production, and then you sell it in the market. That was the whole idea, which was manipulate, which was going on in the agriculture sector earlier. But after coming of this National Commission on Farmers, the focus on the suggestion for inclusive growth of farmers and agriculture sector in India started. Now, what was a major take of this National Commission on Farmers? They said that we have to decide the minimum support price for the production, for the farmers' production, for the agriculture production, for the benefit of the farmer. And now this committee recommended providing farmers with a minimum support price of 50% above the cost of the production classified by they classified it as C2 by CACP. CACP is Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices. Now imagine there is a Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices. It sits for a meeting. It says that farmers are not getting a fair price of their production. How can we can solve it? What proposal came forward is that first of all, we have to decide the actual paid out expenses incurred by the farmer to do that agricultural production in terms of cash, in terms of kind, in terms of fertilizer, pesticides, whatever he bought to make that production possible. And that was termed as A2, which you can see here. Then the second level was A2 plus FL. FL was, it is A2 cost plus the imputed value of the unpaid family labor. It is not only the cash and the kind the investment is not only in money, it is also through the labor of the family member. So you also need to add the add the value of that. Then comes C2. It accounts for the rental and interest loans, owned land and fixed capital assets over and above A2 and FL. So for example, if to buy some machinery for the agricultural production, and the farmer has bought that, and or it has taken it on rent. What are the rentals have gone? What are the interest loan interests have gone? That will also be added into the cost. And the committee recommended the minimum support price to be basic cost and prescribed MSP 50% above C2. So after adding the money, after adding labor, after adding the rentals and loans of the interest, but you get above that 50% of the basic cost should be the minimum support price. If you add 50% of basic cost, that should be the minimum support price recommended for the farmers for their inclusive growth. Now, how it will include, how it will contribute into their inclusive growth? It will contribute into their inclusive growth because when they have at least 50% above C2, they will be able to invest more on the agriculture sector, their farms. They will be able to buy better, education for their children. They will be able to buy better, better health facilities for themselves, and all these are going to contribute about their inclusive growth. Inclusive growth also means that you are not only talking about the basic of their survival, that they should get money to buy food to survive. It's also that they have other needs which should get completed through the money that they get out of their production in the long run. Another thing that you have to keep in mind when we're talking about agriculture distress and agriculture and then its relation with poverty is that now the green revolution, the idea of green revolution has been restructured or reformulated or reformatted as evergreen revolution. And I'll tell you the difference is that when green revolution happened, and as I said that the focus of the government was only on the production and the kind of chemical pesticide fertilizer use. It had a huge ecological impact. It had a huge environmental impact, which in the long run had a reduce the land quality in many various pockets where the green revolution was a success. But and then what was realized that it has an impact, environmental impact, this success is not a long-term success. This success of agriculture, green revolution, is not a sustainable success. To put it into the imagination, or to make it a sustainable success, now the green revolution has been reconceptualized as evergreen revolution, uh, because now what has been argued, that every attempt for the increase of the production in the agriculture sector should be done by having lesser and lesser ecological impact uh, on the environment, because that would make the success actually a sustainable success. Because if for a limited period of time a particular land gives a good production, and after some time it becomes redundant for agriculture production, then it is of uh, no use. So now the you have to keep this point also in mind, that how now green revolution has been reconceptualized as evergreen revolution in the contemporary India's endeavor for to handle agricultural distress. Now, after discussing poverty and uh, and agriculture distress as one of the aspects related to poverty, let us come to poverty alleviation programs in India now. What are those programs? So those programs can be divided into two parts. One is self-employment programs. You will have to read them in a detailed manner, but I'm telling you in a philosophy, the idea behind it. They're largely divided into self-employment program, like rural uh, employment generation program, Prime Minister Rozgar Yojana, Swan Jayanti Shehri Rozgar Yojana, Swan Jayanti Gram Rozgar Yojana. Now, what do you mean by self-employment program? Under these schemes, the idea of self-employment was promoted in the poverty-stricken areas, especially in the rural areas, where people were given trainings on skills. Their skills were developed. Self-help groups were made so that people can come up with different avenues of self-employment programs. Another uh, uh, side of poverty alleviation program is a wage employment program. So on the one hand, you give capacity to people for their self-employment ideas, and on the other hand, it's a wage employment program is where government come up with Rozgar Yojana or employment scheme where the wage could be earned by people of especially rural poor. So schemes like Sampoorn Gramin Rozgar Yojana, National Food for Work Program, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. These are the main programs which are initiatives which are taken by Government of India to uh, to alleviate poverty from the poverty-stricken areas. And as I said, you have to place them into two different categories. One focus was on self-employment, and another was on the wage employment. And outcome of all these, how uh, poverty still remains a problem, and how, and as I said, all these issues are interrelated. Poverty, agriculture distress, which kept people, rural people, under debt for a long time, not able to make profits for a long time. That led to another very important issue and very important topic for you is the farmer suicide in India, and that remains a very dark reality of the rural, uh, poor and the poverty in the rural area in India. So that is, this topic remains very important, and you can expect certain some questions on this topic, that farmer suicide, the reasons, and what has been done on that. So the reasons are the same which I discussed on agriculture distress. uh, Farmers tried to increase their production because mechanization had come, new fertilizer, new technologies, new pesticide, new kind of seeds had come in the market. So some farmer thought that okay, I can also increase the production in my field by adding those new technologies and new agriculture those those technologies and seeds and pesticides and fertilizer, but I need money for that. To get that money, what farmers did, they uh, you know uh, borrowed money. They came under huge debt, and because the, as I said earlier also, because the market for selling that production was not regularized, was still manipulated, or they could not get enough profit of their production. They remained under debt for a long time, and as per central government, over 12,000 suicides were reported in the agriculture sector every day since 2013. Farmer suicide account for approximately 10% of all suicides in India, because once they got into the debt trap, the interest rate kept on adding. The money that they had to pay back to money lender kept on adding. This led to a lot of exploitation from the money lender side on the farmer as well as his families, and that led many farmers to commit suicide to come out of this debt trap, or to bring their families out of this death trap. Seven states account for, in India, seven states account for 87.5% of total suicides in the farming sector in the countries, and Maharashtra is the most affected state. And apart from that, there are Karnataka, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Uh, so um, I would I would end this topic of looking at poverty here. Uh, Again, what you have to keep in mind that when you talk about poverty, you have to bring it to the rural context, and in the rural context, then you have to bring it to the issue of agricultural distress. Then again, you have to bring it to the issue of farmer suicide, that how and I'm giving you a broad understanding of what is the real problem or what has remained the real problem. The real problem, more than the production, it has been the market of that production, the where they're supposed to sell that production. So the marketing of that product, the selling of that production was a major issue for farmer, that kept them the under poverty for a long time, because they were under debt for a long time, and ultimately they uh, thought of coming out of it by the sad realities of farmer suicide. I stop sharing my screen here, and like this we are going to discuss various other topics under this under the sessions which are going to be taken by me. And my approach to deal with these topics are going to be how to connect different topics and present them into the possible question form. That how two, three topics are going to be connected, and then you have to answer them. And for that, you need to develop two skills. First, you need to know about those different topics, and another is you need to know how to combine that knowledge in such a manner that it is written in a flow and given to the examiner, so that it shows that you don't only know the things but you also can put them into a context and present your understanding on that. So not a factual knowledge but an analytical knowledge would be needed along with the factual knowledge in your writing. So keep that in mind, and stay tuned for more, and we are going to discuss various other topics in the subsequent classes as well. Goodbye.